Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Just a real quick video update. I normally don't do videos on Mondays, but I just want to get this out of my chest real quick. Bitcoin has broken underneath the top of the 2-day Ichimoku cloud. It's really kind of went way underneath of it. When it does that, generally I think the next level of support is probably going to be around down here, right? It depends on where it lands. If it lands down here during this week, or just over the next couple days or so, it could end up landing around like 56 500, somewhere around there. If it ends up landing a little bit further, it could end up being around 58,000, somewhere around here, right? So it's it looks like there's a lot of volatility that's been happening. The volume is still not that significant. If you look at the daily Ichimoku cloud, the volume is high, right? But compared to the previous days, it's actually not as high as some of these other moves over here. Overall, the volume is still trending down. There's still a little bit of a low volume kind of thing to it, although this is still considered to be a little bit of a capitulation. You're having some pretty decent wick underneath below, which tells you there's a lot of demand underneath the 60,000 zone. And we'll see how it pans out, right? Because we're really talking about potentially hitting the bottom of the 2-day Ichimoku cloud, maybe around 56,500 or around 58,000. That's always a possibility. And throughout history, it's been serving as pretty decent support and potentially resistance. Pretty decent support here at the bottom of the cloud, decent support here at the top of the cloud. It also serves as pretty decent resistance here too during the entire bear market, right? Sometimes it overshoots inside of it a little bit, and sometimes it overshoots a little bit inside a little bit over here, right? But I still think that the cloud looks really, really green, so I think that more than likely it's going to serve as pretty decent support. And moving forward, we'll see. All right, if you look at the weekly cloud, you can also see that the Kijun down here is around 56,200, somewhere around here. So that's probably going to be a lot of pretty confluent support underneath. It probably end up having to go down that much further. It's still early in the week, so this week's volume is actually not that impressive. What is really important here is to look at this, is to see that the RSI have basically reset on the weekly chart all the way from like 90 all the way down to maybe like the low 50s now, whereas price has basically just gone down a little bit. If you look at the entirety of how price went from like the 40,000 up to current price around 60,000, RSI has actually reset from like the 60s all the way down to the low 50s, even though price has gone up by like 50%. So this is what we basically look at as like a hidden bullish divergence. It's just basically resetting some of the indicators here a little bit. On the weekly chart, whales are still in. I mean, like you still have, even after today, today's big sell-off, you still have like around 84% whales. They're still staying in Bitcoin, so there's still a lot of interest in terms of Bitcoin. If you look at the daily chart, it's just way oversold. And also, if you take off the Ichimoku cloud, you look at the Bollinger Band, it's underneath the lower Bollinger Band. That's usually a pretty good indicator. It's probably going to end up having at least a short-term relief bounce kind of thing happening. 2-day way underneath the low Bollinger Band, so you can imagine low Bollinger Band. The traders are probably going to end up wanting to come in and try to get to that. If you look at the weekly chart, look at the Bollinger Band at the lower part of it. Right now is around 55,000. Could price end up hitting 55,000 and finding support and springing up higher, or could this be the end of a correction? You just want to hit around 60,000, see what's underneath in terms of liquidity. You did hit a top of a very important volume shelf over here so far, and there's a possibility the price just end up bouncing up forward, right? But if it ends up going down further, I think 55 to 56,000 could potentially be a pretty decent zone for further support if it needs it. The further it goes, I think the great opportunity you have, and I still look pretty positive in terms of that. I do want to go back to the monthly Ichimoku cloud here, kind of give you a little bit of an idea in terms of why altcoins are actually a little bit outperforming Bitcoin, and I'm going to show you some of the data that is to show that is the case. So first off, I mean, right now in the monthly, like whales are still in. There's really no interest for whales to really leave, and price, if you look at the bigger picture, it's just been going sideways. It's really little, more or less insignificant. Price is way above the Tenkun though, the blue line over here. I mean, generally when price is way above the Tenkun, price could go sideways. It could even go down to kind of get closer to Tenkun down here. Look at what happened before when price went way above the Tenkun, right? Went sideways for months, even came back down and got close to it before going up higher, right? The Tenkan for the month of July is going to be a little bit higher. It's going to be around 53,000 based on my calculation. So you're going to end up not being too far away from the Tenkan. And there's a possibility that price in July or August just ends up tracking up a lot higher, and it could track the Tenkan along up with it. It doesn't always have to kind of follow, right? But overall, all this stuff right here since March, April, May, and June is just consolidation sideways on declining volume. And it's really kind of insignificant if you think about it. But with Bitcoin being a little bit way above the Tenkan, it's a little bit, reasonable for it to kind of go sideways. It also went way above the upper Bollinger Band here for months on end, right? So it's just really going sideways. It's been closing underneath the upper Bollinger Band. The upper Bollinger Band still looks like it wants to expand further over time. So I think price is going to end up keep going up further. But if you just imagine it's a little bit too far away from the Tenkan, right? So the risk-reward ratio short term may not be in Bitcoin, and it really hasn't been over the last few months. If you look at Ethereum paints a very, very different picture. First of all, Ethereum is also consolidating. The volume also been declining. Whales are also very much interested in Ethereum. They haven't really left. They came in a few months ago and they stayed, right? Look at how Ethereum is looking. It's not overextended at all. Went through the cloud over here, backtest the cloud and bounce, right? Right now it's not even too far away from the Tenkan. And I think over the next couple of months it's going to continue to push price up higher. So the risk-reward ratio actually favors Ethereum as far as I'm concerned. You look at the Bollinger Band, it did close about a couple months above the upper Bollinger Band, but it's just been consolidating sideways. And right now I don't think we're really too far overextended. The upper Bollinger Band continues to want to point up, right? So I think that we might be getting into the point where Ethereum is going to be the better risk-reward play moving forward. Just looking at the weekly Ichimoku cloud, you did break underneath this 3,400 zone here that I thought might potentially be support. But either way, you have inside candles number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on relatively low volume compared to this big giant green candle over here. So I think that the bears are really having a hard time really trying to reverse this big giant green candle over here on huge volume. And you could potentially go down to even 51,000. I don't care. Even if it goes down there, it's going to be a little bit of an inside candle. You have a lot of demand underneath over here. Big giant wick over here, nice wick, another wick down here. You have a lot of demand for Ethereum that are coming. Technical analysis is not absolute. It's more about time probability. Whales are still in the 85 range, right? But this looks like a very, very nice bullish setup for whenever it decides to reverse. These inside candles is probably going to end up resuming the primary trend, which is an uptrend. And I have reasons to believe that we're getting relatively close to the bottom over here. You look at bull market support band, you can see that it really bounced perfectly from the 21-week exponential moving average, and it's just basically still stuck inside the Bollinger Band. Sorry, not the Bollinger Band. It's stuck inside the bull market support band over here. It's looking pretty decent. I actually like Ethereum better than I like Bitcoin, where it kind of broken underneath of it. So I do have reasons to believe that Ethereum is showing some relative strength, and it could potentially push up higher because of that. If you also look at some of the total market cap structure, I also want to kind of go back to the monthly chart here. I'm going to show you in terms of what I think, why is it that Bitcoin is kind of a little bit underperforming some of the alts currently. Just look at the total market cap for the entire crypto market, which about half of it is going to be Bitcoin. It's just way outside the Tenkan, right? Way above the Tenkan, just like I was saying with Bitcoin, because most of this cryptocurrency total market cap is going to be Bitcoin, so it's going to be reflected over here, right? And that might be a reason why it's having a little bit of a hard time potentially go a little bit further. If you take out Bitcoin, you just look at the cryptocurrency market cap total 2 without Bitcoin, which includes Ethereum and everything else. You can see that it's been really relatively staying pretty close to the Tenkan down here, even after this recent bullish cross just a few months ago. And it's also been just kind of break about the cloud and just kind of been back testing the cloud here a little bit. Find pretty good, decent support over here. Looks like it wants to go up a lot higher because it's a green cloud. And if you also take away from the Ethereum as well, if you exclude Ethereum and you just look at the overall cryptocurrency market cap, you had a bullish cross over here, really this month. And you can see that it's been bouncing from the bottom of these Ishimoto cloud over here too, right? So far, we're finding support in a lot of the other cryptocurrency market caps. If you also just look at others, if you take out the top 10 cryptocurrency, if you just look at the rest of altcoins, excluding the top 10, you can see that it also has found support over here. It bounced from the baseline of the kitchen, and it looks like it might be potentially ready to go back up and challenge the cloud up here again. And this more or less just kind of looked a little bit like an ABC correction, if you will. So overall, things are actually looking pretty decent for altcoins. If you also look at Bitcoin dominance, there's also a little bit of a troublesome thing here with Bitcoin dominance. On the monthly chart, it looks like it wants to break above the Ishimoku cloud, but it's getting rejected multiple times, right? You see a big giant wick trying to break above, but getting rejected back inside the cloud. You do have a little bit of a bull trend because the Tenkan is probably going to serve as support to kind of push it up a little bit higher. But this whole like Bitcoin dominance thing that everybody's been talking about, everybody's been used to Bitcoin dominance over the last year and a half, because that's nothing but true, right, over the last year and a half. But it has a bit of a rolling over look to it. And you can see that a little bit more clearly if you look at the weekly. You look at a weekly, you can see that there is a clear bearish divergence, where Bitcoin dominance just kept going up on exhausted RSI, right? So I think eventually it's going to end up rolling over, and when it rolls over, it's going to hit the cloud, and when it hits the cloud, it might bounce around the cloud a little bit, but the next step, because of this rolling over look to it, the next step's probably going to be going under, right? I think there's a lot of similarity. Even look at the well signature. I think there's a lot of similarity compared to this chart over here. After Bitcoin halving is when you start really having a lot of altcoin season happening, right? I see a lot of similarities with this, whale momentum kind of diminishing from Bitcoin dominance, and the trend is down, right, on the whales. Like, I'm not lying. You could look at see like whales are potentially exiting from Bitcoin and trying to switch over to altcoins soon on bearish divergence. So it does make me wonder whether or not we could be hitting altcoin season maybe a little bit sooner than most would expect, right? Look at the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart. I'm going to look at the monthly here first. The monthly is basically saying that we are underneath the Ishimoku cloud, but looks like we're having a lot of demand over here. We're trying to flip the Tenkan from resistance to support, potentially before bouncing up higher. All price has to do right now is just go sideways and be entering this green cloud. Whales are coming in to favor potentially Ethereum over Bitcoin moving forward. And overall, things have just kind of gone sideways over here for almost like 8 or 9 months now. All it has to do is just go sideways and end up entering a cloud. And when it ends up entering a cloud, it's going to be a little bit sticky. It's probably going to end up bouncing around the cloud here a little bit, because it does look like it might have a little bit of a trend change soon. And you can see that if you look at the weekly chart, right? The weekly chart is looking really decent for Ethereum over Bitcoin, because you have a lot of these inside candles over here with a lot of support over here at the baseline. And it looks like it wants to push inside the weekly Ishimoku cloud. It got rejected over here initially, but it looks like it wants to bounce into the cloud, potentially even hit the top of the cloud over here, which basically means that Ethereum could potentially outperform Bitcoin for the upcoming foreseeable future. A little bit of whales kind of entering in here. So not really confirmed yet, but really this big giant green candle over here with a lot of inside candles really is favoring a little bit of more a bullish continuation, because this is a higher high compared to this one over there. This is a higher low compared to this one over here. So you're starting to kind of reverse trend here a little bit with the Ethereum over Bitcoin chart here as well. I do feel that Bitcoin's probably going to do okay. The lowest it goes maybe around 56,000. I think it's also possible that this could be it, because I'm really so far, even though there's big giant volume over here today, so far I'm honestly not really that impressed. If you look at the weekly chart, there's still a lot of whales in, and the entire move just looks like it just wants to quote the RSI. But with that said, I do think that if the next move for Bitcoin is to, over the next like 3 to 4 months is to make further all-time highs and goes in price exploration mode, I do think that altcoins are probably going to be ending up outperforming if that does happen soon. Anyway, thank you so much. I just want to get that off my chest and just want to update you my thoughts in terms of what Bitcoin's doing and what my thoughts are moving forward. And we'll see what happens. Have a good one. Bye.